Mike Monday here, and this is my first ever public live stream on YouTube, and so it's a big day for me because it's a day I've been procrastinating about for probably about 18 months, making up all kinds of excuses. And just a bit of background, what I actually ended up doing, how I actually ended up doing the thing that I was procrastinating about, because obviously I was scared, was to lower the bar for myself. So what I decided to do at the start of January was to live stream, but only to the members of my Idea Explosion Challenge program. And that ended yesterday with my 10th splurge. And basically what the Idea Explosion Challenge is me teaching you how to splurge. Hello, Andy. And please feel free to say hello in the chat if you can. It's always good to see who's on here with me. Hi, Marv. Hi, Michael. So, and there is a bit of a gap because I've got the setting in YouTube on fairly long latency just to make the picture better. Because if you have it on real time, then often the picture goes a bit funky. Hey, Flex. So I finished the 10 days of splurging yesterday, and the final, and there were different splurges that I set in the Idea Explosion Challenge. Hey, Rob. There were different splurges that I set in the Idea Explosion Challenge, and the last one is called the Strengths Splurge. No, that's actually not true at all. The last one is called the Choose Your Own Splurge. The one before, the penultimate one, is called the Strengths Splurge. Chog, hi. Hi, Nordic Beats. I can't remember who that is, but I do know it's somebody I know. Anyway, hello, person I know who I can't remember who it is. Hi, Rob. And hello, Morteza. Hi, Peter. So we've got Berlin. We've got presumably Nordic Beats would probably be somewhere in Scandinavia, and Nashville, the UK, and Ireland maybe. I think Rob's from Ireland. It certainly sounds like he's from Ireland anyway. So he may well not be living in Ireland, of course. Hi, Alex. So yesterday I did the final splurge, which was the Choose Your Own Splurge. And what I had done before in the Strength Splurge was I started using the Moog DFAM, this thing. Hi, Simon. And essentially, I got basically, Mike Monday was a very good boy, obviously, in 2019, because Santa brought him what he wanted, which was one of these. And I've been looking at this thing for a while, ever since my friend, who seems intent on sending me into a gear acquisition rabbit hole, he's like always sending me, because I'm totally not, I don't unsubscribe, I'm not subscribed to anything like that. I don't go on YouTube and kind of salivate. Well, I do occasionally, I'll be honest, but I don't often go on YouTube and salivate at gear. I'm not following, all kinds of manufacturers on Instagram. So I get this kind of flurry of texts from my mate who keeps sending me like, oh, Korg have just re-released the Hop 2600, and things like that. And in fact, it's funny. I wrote to him back last week. I said, you do love to torture yourself, don't you? It's like, so stop torturing me. Anyway, he sent me a video of someone playing one of these, and I've been kind of eyeing it for a while because, I viewed me coming back to making music after 17 years as an opportunity to actually build my setup in a kind of more intelligent way, in a more kind of rational way, in a way which actually I kind of the way I think about building my setup is like I'm almost like assembling a band, yeah. And this is a Roland SH7, but I got this first, right? And it didn't quite do it for me. I don't know why it's still here. I probably need to sell it. It's a Profit Rev 2. And I've got nothing against Dave Smith Instruments, but it's just something about it that didn't do it for me. The reason I got it was because I wanted to actually play. Because one of the things I realised in my I don't need the keyboard on. Great, yeah. So one of the things I realised in my break from making music was that actually playing the piano was a strength of mine in comparison to most music producers. I'm not Ashkenazi or Daniel Barenboim. I'm not like a concert pianist, but relatively speaking, I can play the piano. So I decided this was the first thing I got, which is a MIDI keyboard, an SL88, but I got that after. Actually, I got this after I made my first album, after coming back to making music. And in many ways, my first album, it was all made in the box. A lot of it was made on a phone, actually. It started on the phone anyway. And my first album was very much look what's happened over the last 8 years of making music and music technology. What can you do now? And I was absolutely blown away by it. Anyway, then after that album, I've kind of been intentionally building up my setup because I literally had no gear whatsoever. And Chug's saying he's got a friend like that. I think we all have a friend like that. I've got a friend like that in my head, actually, which is why I don't follow any manufacturers or anything like that on YouTube or anything or Instagram, because when I find myself kind of watching demonstrations of gear I don't have, I'm like, okay, this is a sign. Stop immediately and go make some music. Okay. Anyway, so this was the first thing I got because I wanted to properly. I mean, this has got great. It's weighted keyboard. It's. I mean, it's not like a Steinway or anything, but it's a really, really good MIDI keyboard. It's just got 3 controllers at the end. Nothing fancy. So that was the first thing I got. Then I got this because I thought I actually want to be able to play a synth and use a pedal. But I don't know what it is about it, but it kind of felt a little bit like a VST in a box. If that makes sense. A VST in an outboard, but I don't know. I just never quite got on with it. I'm sure it's absolutely great, but anyway, it's remained off for quite a while, so it's probably here just for show, which is a bit ridiculous, isn't it? Anyway, so then this opportunity came up to get this thing, which is a relatively rare synth, a Roland SH7 from the 80s, and I thought, well, A, it's pretty rare. B, I mean, it's 100% analog. There's no presets, there's no screens, there's no saving, and that really appealed to me. There's no MIDI, it's just CV, and so I thought, well, this is an opportunity. So kind of after weeks of negotiations with my wife, I got this, and this is just great. It's great for someone like me because it really plays to my strengths, because I don't really know what I'm doing, but you can just twiddle around with the knobs and get really cool sounds out of it. But what I kind of wanted was something which was less notey, something that was less musical, something that could be more percussive. So when my friend sent me the picture of this, I was like, ooh, okay, this looks like something that I could really have fun with. Anyway, to cut a very long story somewhat short, I used this upstairs for a while, just playing around with it, and then in the splurge yesterday I decided to use it and nothing else, and I had so much fun, it was almost criminal. Now I'm not sure that will happen today, but I did try it again yesterday after the live stream, and yet again had an enormous amount of fun, right? So I thought, because I'm going on holiday the day after tomorrow, and I haven't got time tomorrow to do a live stream, I wanted to do a public one to capitalize on the momentum I created, because what I was worried about, so if I went away and stopped live streaming, when I came back I'd start procrastinating, again as well. So so that is what I'm doing. So here we go, and basically I've got it synced up to the DAW using you can't see it, but using, actually I'll just show you one of these, which is an ERM multi-clock. And I won't go into detail about how it's synced up, but just to say that it is. And what I'm going to do is, I was playing with really fast tempos, and what I might do is try and play with really slow tempos to see what happens. So Flex is saying, actually, YouTube is a great way to do extra research and check product quality. Yes, absolutely. It's also a great way to waste time and dream about things that you won't buy. So yeah, I mean, I checked YouTube after I decided to buy it just to double check. So I absolutely agree with you on that. But yeah, you want to be careful when you're not thinking of buying it. Hey, Sean, Spiderhound is here. Okay, so let's see what this. So what I've done, actually, just to be clear, is I used a. When you get this, you get these cards that you lay over the top, and they're preset cards essentially, and what to show you kind of different things that you can do. And I did do that yesterday, but there's this one called Kick and Snare, okay, and it involves plugging the VCO AG out into the noise level, which creates the snare, and then the pitch into the VCF mod. And I'm not quite sure why would that. So out of pitch into VCF mod. Well, it's great. Anyway, so I thought I'd start with this, and I've actually created it. So this is the sequencer, all right, and you've got pitch and you've got velocity. And let's just play it so I can show you. Okay, so here you can see, I don't know whether you can see that very clearly, but basically you can turn up the velocity. So you can turning up the. So if I just turn down all of the velocity. So the reason that's all the way down is because this pitch is up. So basically, if I was to turn that pitch knob all the way down here, that would be a kick. So essentially, when this is up, turns into a snare. Yep. And when it's all the way down, you can never kick it. Probably down there. Yeah. Now I have altered this preset a little, and I've changed the pattern that the sequencer was playing, because obviously you could go like this. But I'm just going to start with. Turn up in my headphones, get it pumping. Right, let's just start it recording, and let's do a bit of a jam, actually. I'll start it there because I think I've got two. In fact, I'll just do this one bar counting. Where is it? It's here. Right. So basically the rules of the splurge are that I'm not allowed to focus on quality. I've got to go as fast as possible. Now, what I've found in doing live streams while splurging is that I don't tend to go as fast as possible because I do a lot of talking. Okay, and I'm trying to make this as useful to you rather than you just watching me, mess about, right? So I don't go as fast as possible. But really, the second rule of splurging, which is go as fast as possible, is in service of the first rule. Yeah, it's a way to avoid quality. So really, as long as I'm not focusing on quality at this point in my process and just kind of letting things happen, taking a kind of discovery approach, then all is good. The third rule is save the DAW file and export the audio, and the fourth rule is don't listen for at least 3 days. I prefer 7. So what's kind of cool about this for those who know about splurging, who have seen me splurging before in courses, because I do a lot of demonstrations in the programs now, is that what you'll see is what I've been talking about for a while, which is a discovery approach to sound design. Now, I use that word sound design very loosely here because I wouldn't describe what I do as sound design because I don't know what I'm doing. So what it is really is sound discovery, but I am kind of finding sounds and creating sounds, and here's a good example of it. So let's go. That's the first thing to remember, which I always forget, which is in order for it to start at the right point in the bar, I need to advance the sequencer to the last note of the sequence. Yep. So I forgot to do that. So let's start again. Also, no, only during counting. Thank you. Okay. So what happened there was that I did something that made the perceived volume of the thing that was playing turn down, and then I forgot what I did, so I couldn't bring it back. So this is a danger with this thing. So what I'm going to do. Hey Manuel, how you doing? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take. You know, what I'm going to do, I'm going to, because that's a nice little, does that go all the way to 65? Oh, I just missed it. Urgh. Never mind. Little gap. See if there's a click. And it doesn't matter. This is a splurge. Remember, Michael, don't worry about things like that. So, because that's a nice little shape, if you like. You know, little break kind of thing. Things happening. So I'm just going to lay that out like that. And let's move on to number 2. Now, on this multi-clock thing, you could change the... What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these out so that we're no longer in kick and snare land. And... so what you can do on this multi-clock thing is you can change the subdivisions with which it tells it to go. So it basically can change how fast this goes, but it'll still be in time with that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to change the setting so that I can do that. Oh, it's on the knob. Great. Already. Fantastic. Yeah. And I'm going to see what I can do with this. All right. So you can hear that's basically playing the same pattern as that. If I do this, it's double time. And that's double time. Well, it's not actually double time. It's something in the middle. All right, let's start with that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the setting here so that I can basically change the groove with one of these knobs. How do I do that? Like that. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Gone to the wrong place. God, this reminds me of the early days. Right, yep. And then, no, that. Yeah. I remember making music on screens that were literally, you know, smaller than the Apple Watch screen. You know, like this, it's like arranging tunes on a screen the size of one of those old-fashioned digital watches. I used to make the first sequencer that I used. It might not have been the first one. I think maybe the first one was something like Cubase on an Atari or something. But one of the first sequencers I used was an LSS MMT8, and literally the screen was like that, and that was how you sequenced it. And you had to actually remember what you'd arranged in your head. So it was kind of very interesting because you built up this kind of mental model of the arrangement in your head, which was really useful. It was like literally the opposite of looking at your arrangement. It was like you had to listen to it and you had to kind of remember it up here, which was really cool actually. Quite hard though. And you've got to remember I was in my 20s, so I you know, my ingestion of various things was slightly different. So let's advance it to the start just to make sure. I know what I've done wrong. Schoolboy Error. So I was on, change the subdivision to 3. Home. Right, here we go. So I can make it, now I can make it with this knob here, I can make it, you can't see it, but I can make it straight. In fact, let me just turn all of them up so you can hear it clearly. So this would be like swung quantize, what used to be called iterative quantize. Search for that. Yeah. 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 See, what I might do actually, because it was a really good pattern when, and again, I'm focusing on quality. Yep, I am. Sorry about that. I just want to go back to what it was originally. So I would do that by doing this. All right. Yep, let's go. There we go. Right. Going back. Right. And change. Actually, that'll be all right. Right. Oh, come on, Michael. I forgot to change it here. There we go. Right, I'm just going to keep what I'm going to do. Just going to record. I've been faffing around for way too long. And he does it again. Right, let's go. And again. Go. Okay, that'll do. So, all right. Let's go to the... 37. Now, what I like about doing it like this, by just kind of going with the flow and making the arrangement out of the thing, what I might do is put that there. Out of the jam, is that you have weird numbers of bars, which kind of makes it more interesting. Right, so let's do something else. Right, now I'm just going to go random on the knobs. And see what we can get. So this is a danger with this, which I've noticed, is that you can get something good and you've got to be disciplined enough to go with it, right? And right then I got something that I was like, right, I'm going to go with that. And then I started continuing to twiddle knobs. Yeah. And sometimes it takes a while to get back because you can't remember what you did, right? And what I like about the forgetting to advancing sometimes is you get some interesting rhythms. So that's not what happened first time, but all right, let's go with that. So let's start that one. Should have started earlier than that. And what I'm going to do today is, so usually I would, oops, kind of spend a much shorter amount of time doing this if I was on my own, unless it was like I was really in flow. What I'm going to do today is I'm just going to keep going until I can't. Yeah, until I can't. I've got to stop. I've got a hard stop in 45 minutes, but we'll probably be on here for about another hour. And by the way, if anyone wants to ask any questions, please go ahead and ask them in the chat. That's all good. Of course, that doesn't always work. So let's just try it again. Okay. Now what's happening today is this is much less jammy than the other one. I seem to be writing kind of parts more. What happened yesterday, twice in fact, was that I did kind of a whole part all the way along and used that as the starting point. But for some reason that didn't seem to be happening, but I'm going with it. I wonder what happens if that happens. Hang on a minute, what's going on there? Right. So we're up to here. Right. Something that it strikes me off. Where is it? Oh no. Hang on a minute. Sends. Inputs. Sends. Oh no, it's okay. We're all good. What I might do is turn that up there. If it starts distorting after I turn this up for you, let me know. Alright. Back to this. So we might want a different time to go a bit slower. Let's try that. Let's get the groove in first. What I'm doing at the moment is just getting the swing right, so that's not going to be the part. I'm just getting the swing with the rest of the groove. Let's just put it advanced to the end. Let's try. One of the things about this is that it's very, because the knobs on the pitch, right, are very, very, they go a long way. So the lowest note you can get is, let's just do one at a time. Okay. Well, actually, the lowest, it depends on the frequency that you do here. But basically, you can go all the way from here. Let's try and get that right. So that's really, really low. Yeah. But then you can go all the way to sorry, here. Why isn't that working? What have I got going on? Oh, it's because of these. So that's too high to hear. So as soon as these go down, basically, it affects the next step. But basically, let's turn them all up, and then you'll be able to hear it. Right. Really high. Which means it's very hard to get notes. But that's cool. I mean, to get precise notes, right? But that's cool as long as you go with it. Yeah. So I know some people will get frustrated by that, but that's what I like about it. Anyway, let's try and find something. Let's advance the end. There we go. All right, let's start with that. Hi, Jesse. Right. Right. Then I'm going to do this. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call that a splurge. Oops. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another one. Because I've got time and I'm having fun. So, oops. Don't kick the camera mic. Right. So, right. Third rule of the splurge. Save. So remember, or find out if you don't know this, that in the way that I make music, and also the people I teach make music, the splurge is just the first step, and actually the majority of splurges that we do the majority of splurges that we do, we don't end up using. And this is the point about not focusing on quality. So, for instance, what you just saw there was me not really feeling it at any point in the process, but I kept going until I was done. Until kind of I either got sick of it or didn't know what to do next, or something like that. But the great thing, and this is the great thing about splurging, is you don't have to get too attached to Boogie. There we go. Don't have to get too attached to anything that you're doing at all. So you're allowed for it not to be. You're allowed not to be excited about it. It doesn't matter. The way that you judge how good things are going is whether you're doing it and whether you're interacting in the process like healthily, if you like, if you've got a healthy creative process. And I did noticing myself there, and I'm sure those who are the people who've learnt from me noticed me getting sucked down into sort of quality at times there. So yeah, it does happen, but this is the point of splurging. It's particularly at the start of the process, we just let things happen. So let's do something. What I'm going to do is, because this is the thing about this machine, is it's like, the way I would describe it is it's almost like insta techno. Yeah, it kind of naturally gravitates towards that kind of thing. Yeah, and what I want to do is I want to practice it enough and play with it enough to sort of take it into different areas. But because it's sort of so pointing in that kind of techno direction, it's actually it's actually more challenging to do that. Yeah, it's actually more challenging to do that, which I was finding there. I was like, I wasn't kind of in it. So what I'm going to do now is just kind of let loose and do something fast. So let's see. Maybe not quite that fast. Start with that. Yes, Sean, it definitely is. Detachment. Sean says detachment is so key to the process. It really is. Actually, the word detachment can be confused. I mean, you're absolutely right. I'm not saying you're wrong in any word, in any way. I agree with you. But what I found in coaching people is one of the problems with the word detachment is that it has a negative connotation. So the word instead of detachment, so the way of describing it, and I'm sure you've heard me say this before, is I ask people, what is the opposite of careless? Right? And everyone always goes, careful. Right? Now, it's particularly at this stage of the process, but almost always, maybe not right at the very end, but almost always through the process, we don't want to be too careful. Right, because being too careful means that we overthink, we second guess ourselves, and we mess things up, right? So for me, the opposite of careless, because we don't want to be careless either, yeah? But the opposite of careless is carefree, okay? We want to be carefree. We want to be kind of have the freedom to try things and not be too attached to the process. And that's kind of it kind of people get that better than a detachment, because almost like detachment feels a bit like I don't care, and that isn't really what we're doing. So, but yeah, really, when you understand the difference between careful and carefree, and you understand that detachment is being carefree, is that's definitely it. So make sure it's at the right. Right, let's go. Oops. Okay, it's a good start. So I've got 20 minutes left before I have to speak to someone. Right, see what I can do. Okay. So is that from the start? How did I start it? Yeah, okay. Let's get something like that in. This is more of that. Oh, there we go. Right. Okay. And let's see if I can get something that sounds good. Well, it doesn't have to sound good because I'm splurging, right? But get something, get anything. See, I have to keep on stopping myself. I have to get something which is kind of in the bass area. The obviously the problem when you're doing everything on a machine like this is that the kick and the bass coming out of the same kind of thing. So you've got to be careful about that. It's, it might be quite difficult to mix, but it doesn't matter. Don't need to worry about that. Alright, yeah. Need to change the timing. What would happen if I did it? I wonder what happens when I do that. It's probably going to be quite weird. So now this is going at 1/8T, which is a strange tempo, a strange kind of speed. Let's try that. No. Even I Probably can't handle that at this point. What about half time? Let's try that. Right, let's go. 10 more minutes. So this is probably going to be the last part I put in. Okay, so let's call that a wrap. And so basically what the next step would be with all of these splurges that I'm doing is I would wait. I prefer 7 days, but it could be 3 if I was, if I needed something. But like it's a minimum of 3 days. And then I would listen to the audio file. That's absolutely essential. Not the DAW file. And then I would choose what to move forward in the future. And bear in mind that what I've created here doesn't have to be anywhere near the final thing. It could either be that what I've created, am I doing that right? No. It could either be that what I've created here is the final thing. Well, sorry, when I say is the final thing, what I mean is kind of forms the basis of the final thing. But the other thing I'm listening for when I'm listening back to my splurges is, does it give me any ideas? Yeah, because I think probably most people listen to the thing they've worked on and only focus on whether they like that thing, which really when you're making music is going to be the minority of the music that you make. Is that you're gonna really like it. So what I've started to do is I actually listen, and whether I like it or not, I also try and think about, does this give me an idea that I'm excited about? Yeah, because that gives you a lot more music to work on. So with these two, it's typical, isn't it? The first time I go public with a live stream, and neither of the things that I do I'm excited about, in actually making the music, but that doesn't actually matter in splurging. Like the two that I did yesterday, I was dancing around like a crazy person because I was super excited. But this is what splurging is about. It doesn't matter whether you're excited or not. It would have been nice for you to see what this thing can do. I don't think I really displayed it in its best light today, but anyway, in terms of the actual creative process, that doesn't matter. The majority of splurges that I do not like, and I'm not feeling it when I'm doing it. But this is the point of splurging. You're actually getting used to making progress when you're not excited. And you could see from my demeanor that I wasn't particularly excited about any of that, which was exactly the opposite of the way it was yesterday. So if anything, this is actually a better demonstration of splurging than the one yesterday. What I might do actually is I might make the last splurge that I did public yesterday, because I was more excited about that. Anyway, so you listen to the audio file and then you decide what to move forward. And you might not use all the parts. You might just use one part. I might just decide that there's something in this or this. Yeah. Or or anything, or I might just never use it. I might just do nothing with it ever again, and that doesn't matter because we're doing at least multiple splurges every day. So Simon's asking a question. Do you have a particular approach structure when moving to the second stage if you decide to take a splurge further after listening to it the following week? Yes, absolutely. And bear in mind, because I've got the automatic music machine running, I don't necessarily take the splurges forward the next week because I'm not able to work on that many. So essentially what happens is you do the splurges, you leave it, and then you listen to them, and then in Trello, which is the tracking system I use for the automatic music machine, it isn't the automatic music machine, it's just the tracking for it. You bookmark the ones that you might want to work on in the future, and then you move everything to the sketchbook, and then you're working in the next column along, which is called discover. Or it could sometimes be draft, depending on how far you've got into it with the splurge, how kind of finished the track is. And in discover, essentially what you're looking for, we're not really looking for it, but what you're discovering, I guess. Yeah, so I guess it is looking for. But you do another splurge in order to find what the thing is. Now, every piece of music, well, almost every piece of music has a thing, and those that don't, probably the thing about the piece of music is that they don't have a thing. And what the thing is, it's almost like the bit that everyone's waiting for. Okay, and I think what was making me not particularly kind of feel not very excited in these two splurges is that I wasn't perceiving a thing. And so I will need to kind of find a thing. So you're looking for the thing, and also you're looking for the payoff moment, particularly if you're writing kind of club music, electronic club music. You're looking for the payoff moment, and you kind of, when I say looking for, it means you kind of try stuff in order to kind of find those two things. When you've got those two things, then you can that will usually suggest some kind of structure, and you can move it into draft. And when you're in draft, essentially you're drafting that structure that you've got in your head, right? So yeah, there is a specific kind of method to it, and it's kind of it works really great because it allows you to know what you're supposed to be doing at any given moment, and you're also working on multiple tracks at the same time at different kind of stages. So if you'd like to find out more about that, I've actually got a class of my program, The Leap, starting on February the 3rd. I think it's February the 3rd. So if you'd like to find out more about that, send me an email, mike@makemusicyourlife.com, with the subject line "Take the Leap." And I'll send you all the details, because in that I kind of fully teach you the automatic music machine process. But the short answer to this question is yes, absolutely. But the way that I make music is that I'm letting the music tell me what it wants to be, right? So I'm deciding things based upon what comes out in the process, rather than thinking my way into it, which is a much more fun, easy, smooth, there's a lot less suffering involved when you do it that way. Having said that, though, as you saw today, it doesn't mean that the creative process is rainbows and unicorns, because that isn't it. The creative process is struggle. Without struggle, we wouldn't need to be creative. But it allows you to reinterpret the struggle as being part of the creative process, and almost use the struggle to kind of move forward. So anyway, that's it for now. I've got to go and do a session, so I will leave you now. Just to thank you, Andy. Yes, Andy's saying to Simon, the AMM, the automatic music machine, is amazing, and that he's just graduated from the Leap 4 and it was an amazing experience. Thank you, Andy. That's very kind of you. So anyway, I will, I'm off, well, not now, but I'm going on holiday at the end of this week, so there won't be any more live streams for a while, but I will do some in the future. They won't all be on the DFAM. I will be doing this as well, but I had so much fun yesterday that I thought I'd just give it another go. So I hope you found it useful. If you want to find out when my next live streams are, when I come back from my holiday, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you then. So until then, happy splurging, and onwards and upwards.